Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Joe Emilio Show. I'm your host, Joe Emilio, and in today's episode, we're going to look at just how much rain Cape Town is going to get. We're also going to look at the AfriForum versus EFF saga against the whole, hate speech saga that's been going on with advocate Mark Oppenheimer. And of course, later on tonight, ladies and gentlemen, the man himself, Ernst Roets, is going to be on my show from AfriForum, and he's going to be talking about just that case, as well as other things, his adventures at CPAC 2022, ladies and gentlemen. That's all coming up in this episode of the Joe Emilio Show, so don't go anywhere, stick around. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing? Let me know how you doing in the live chats. Don't be shy. Don't be shy at all. I see Gavin Comer is already here saying good evening all, good vibes. And Cameron Haslop is also here saying good evening, Joe. Good evening. And apparently Gavin saying that, did you see Carl Niehaus is laying fraud charges against the ANC? He's been saying a lot of stuff for the past few months and years. Carl Niehaus is like, I don't know, like he's like the I'm gonna get it now, the Jack Russell of the ANC, right? And I know he's not part of the ANC anymore, but you know what I mean. Like he's all bark and he. But then no bite, right? Like this thing, he's so energetic, he's so like, I got shit to say, and then nothing happens. Like nothing, he's always like, and then nothing happens. So I don't really take much weight into what Carl Niehaus says. He's always got so many allegations, and yet nothing happens. So as I see some more friends, Robert King in the house. I had the pleasure of meeting Robert King over the weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Cool guy. Met some other people as well. Had a nice little meeting with the Cape Independence crew. We were busy plotting how we're going to take over. Kidding. It was actually just a get together. So yeah. Carl is like Jock Rash. Pretty much. I'm really confused right now. Is this Cameron Engelbrecht or is it a new Cameron? Sorry, it's like another Cameron that watches the show every time. I'm just wondering if you changed your username or not. But if not, cool. Nice to meet you, Cameron. Thank you for tuning in. Cool. So first things first, ladies and gentlemen, some announcements coming your way. Please go check out the new video. So the new video right now that's just been released is this one. This one. Let me zoom into it. There we go. ANC calls DRSA terrorists and saboteurs, ladies and gentlemen. Can you believe it? That this is what the ANC is actually called: DRSA, AfriForum, and two other organizations, terrorists and saboteurs. Okay. Now for those of you who may not know what is going on and why that's such a big deal, is some of you may know, who have been watching my channel for a while now, will know that I've been having Rob Hutchinson on my show for quite some time with DRSA, and they've been, facilitating the public participation that the ANC themselves wanted people to do. Remember, Cyril went out and said that the amendments to the Health Act are now out, and we want the public to comment. And DRSA just basically said, well, yeah, let's do that. We'll facilitate it. We'll make sure everything is top notch, Fort Knox, We're going to service the people, right? So all you had to do is go on DRSA, you fill in their little form. It was very precise. It was very good, very simple, right? You press submit, and you have signed your comment, your public comment, and it goes straight to the minister in his inbox. Not only that, DRSA also has a copy of that email, right? Anyway, over 300,000 people submitted, which is great. Fantastic news. But this pissed off the ANC. Because they didn't expect that. They did not expect 300,000. So obviously, this means that the ANC has to read all 300,000, which I don't think they did. And so they're throwing accusations at DRSA. They're a terrorist organization. They're trying to sabotage this whole process. You're the one that asked them to do this. You're the one that said we want the public to comment. But because they used a sufficient platform, the public used a sufficient platform, that's what pisses them off. Because the ANC, it's funny because the ANC is accusing DRSA of being these saboteurs and terrorist group. Meanwhile, it was the ANC themselves who were deleting comments, right? Comments just went missing, right? They were also, their website where they encouraged people to comment wasn't working, right? So, some emails got lost or whatever. And it's always the people that accuse you, right? Or they're projecting, basically. But anyway, go check out the full video. Rob describes it a whole lot more. We have a bit of fun with it. And he also gives an update to the case because DRSA is currently taking the health minister to court. They're in that process, and they go to court at the end of July, at which point, ladies and gentlemen, during the court proceedings, well, when I say court proceedings, I mean like when Rob and Gideon have a moment to spare, probably after the second day of court, rather, they're going to be on the show. They're going to come on live. We're going to chat to them for an hour, maybe over an hour. We're going to talk to them about how the proceedings have been, what the crazy stories are. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to happen towards the end of July, ladies and gentlemen. You don't want to miss out on that. Confirmation and all that stuff will be later on. Let me just get to some of the comments. Some of you coming in, thank you so much for tuning in. No, it's a different Cameron, but thanks. I normally watch in the background and don't chat. Oh, well, thank you, Cameron, for chatting and indulging me. Helen Duplessis saying, hello, Helen. Nice of you to tune in. Voot is also here. Good to see you. They did not. They tried to. They did not. Again, go watch the video. They're trying to. They had all these. This is what Rob was explaining in the video. DRSA is busy. So the ANC wants to throw out the comments because they're claiming that the comments weren't the right format. Okay, Rob explains it better than I will now. But let's just, for layman's terms, wasn't the right format. Rob argues, no, it was, because the way people commented is to that format. We knew about that. It's not incorrect. So there's a fight now about that. It's all delay tactics, guys. That's all it is. Like, don't be alarmed. 300,000 comments are still valid, and DRSA is going to fight that. Again, go watch the video. Rob explains. Yes, Matthew saw the video. It's so crazy. Like, they act like DRSA is Al Qaeda or something. Like, it's it's so weird. Gavin saying, smash that like button, and if you enjoy the content, subscribe. Yes, please do. Please do. Absolutely. Let's see. Oh, Deborah. Hello, Deborah. How are you, man? It's always good to see you. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know. You guys are... Look, let's be honest. You guys are not here to see me. You're here to see Ernst Roets, who will be joining me at 8 p.m., ladies and gentlemen. He's going to be joining me. It's going to be an exciting chat. We're going to be talking about the AfriForum versus EFF saga, the hate speech saga, the one about kill the boer, right? We're going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about the closing statements happened today, and already there's been some interesting things coming out of that. AfriForum did stream the entire thing on their YouTube channel. If you have 6 hours to spare, you can go watch it. But I'm sure Ernst and I will just do a synopsis of the day and talk about the most interesting and notable moments of the closing statements today. But I do want to, I'll show you guys just now because there's a lot to talk about before he comes on. I will be sharing some of the tweets that Ernst mentioned, and we'll be talking about it when he comes on. But AfriForum already trending in South Africa. That's wow. Okay. I wonder why. But yeah, before we get into the AfriForum versus EFF debacle and all that stuff and getting Ernst on the show, I want to chat to you guys about a few things. Firstly, just a reminder, I'm going to keep on talking about this, guys, because I need this money. Like, I'm going to just be honest. I need it. We need, and it's important. It's not, all these funds are going to my lawyer. I'm not getting anything. I don't have enough. I can't win this on my own. I need your help. So I am pleading. Don't give me super chats. Okay? Skip the super chats for a few months. And let's focus on this. Let's build this fund up so I can fight my fight against cancel culture. It's very important. For those of you who don't know what happened to me, the link is in the description. It's the first link. Check it out. All the information is there in this. This is the Quick Fund Me page. All the information is there. All the videos are there. They're not long. I think the longest one is 5 minutes max. Not if not, it's not even that long. I don't think it's probably closer to 4 minutes. Okay, so 15 minutes you'll watch the entire saga. You'll know, you'll be caught up to date. All right, and if you can go and just donate $60, then, it's something. It's something. I just need 500 people to donate 60 Rand. It'll be greatly appreciated. I'm going to keep on reminding people to please donate what you can. It will be greatly, greatly appreciated. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that. Once again, link is in the description below. Now, let's get into some other things. So let's see what some of the people... Deborah saying, Matthew, stop being a Dixon. I like that. Rob a bank, Jeremy, there. I hear you have context. Okay, cool. Gavin once again saying, please book for the live show. Yeah, if you want to. Link is also in the description, ladies and gentlemen. My one-man show, directed by Barry Hilton, is coming up. Okay, enough punting myself for now. Let's talk a bit about what's coming up in the world today, ladies and gentlemen. We've got, I don't know if you guys know, but it is raining like insanely here in Cape Town. It seems to have a bit of a break. Like, it rains hectically for like an hour and then it stops for half an hour. You might hear rain later on. Okay, we're supposed to have crazy amounts of rain for the next 2 days. Well, today and tomorrow, and going into Wednesday morning, I believe. So I saw this article and I was like, hey, let's share this. I don't want to hear the DA or anyone speak about day zero. Okay? Like, I don't want to hear day zero after this weekend or after these 2 days. Because, yikes, here's how much rain will fall in Cape Town over the next 48 hours. Okay? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear anyone talk about day zero in Cape Town. Okay? Cold front sent, blah, blah, blah. How much rain will fall this week? Well, a lot. That is a lot. Let's see. Did they give a... Yeah. Oh, my word. Cape Town itself is forecast to endure between 75 to 90 millimeters of rain over the next 2 days. And only rural parts of Paarl and Grootdrakenstein will receive a higher share, where it is predicted that over 100 millimeters will lash this region before the start of Wednesday. Holy moly. that I'm not too far from Paul. Like I'm okay. I'm not like close to Paul, but I'm not far from Paul. I'm halfway between Paul and Cape Town. Let's put it that way. So if you look at this map, I'm halfway between Paul. Okay, so like there's Paul, there's Cape Town. So yeah, I'm about here. That makes sense. Yeah, somewhere there. That's roughly where I am. Okay. And look at that. I'm on the edge of this pink and orange. So I'm not safe. Wow. Cool. I'm going to buy a boat. That's what I'm going to do. No. So anyway, for those of you that are in Cape Town, for those of you that might be watching this tonight and you're in Cape Town, consider yourself warned that there's some hectic rainfall coming. And again, I don't want to hear about day zero. Okay, DA, get your shit together. All right, let me look at some of the comments that are coming through now. PE is suffering. I don't know what's going on in PE. Yet they said Nelson Mandela Bay is going to run out of water. Yet they say Nelson Mandela Bay is going to run out of water. Apparently, yes. Send the rain to... Nice. Rain is heading my way too on the garden route. Woo! It's gonna be hectic, guys. It's gonna be hectic. Brace yourselves. Last night was intense. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Last night, like, the rain was loud. Anyway, very quickly, I have to bring some bad news. I have to be the bearer of bad news. And we've been saying it for this, like, we've been saying this for a while. South Africa power cuts could rise tenfold as soon as 2026. Yo. So, I mean, there you go. 4 years ahead of time, they're trying to warn us that we're screwed. Like, in 4 years, things are going to be a lot worse. So the country adds generation, like, so basically it will rise tenfold by 2026 unless the country rapidly adds generation capacity from renewable energy sources. Look, I'm not going to get into the whole renewable conversation, but all I'm going to say is it's not going to happen. Unless the ANC is dethroned, none of this stuff is going to stop. And I'm not talking, like, even if you wanted to implement renewable energy sources, the ANC can't do it. Like, don't be fooled. It's just not going to happen. Okay? So what they're trying to tell you is, like, we're going to be screwed by 2026. Like, we're probably not going to have any electricity. That's probably what's going to happen. There was something I wanted to highlight. A failure to take urgent action could see power cuts rise fourfold in the next year from 2021 levels, and the situation will become increasingly dire from 2025, when a number of Eskom coal stations are set to be decommissioned. So what they're trying to say is, ladies and gentlemen, that we have like 3 years of electricity left, pretty much. And then we're done. We're over. It's over. Well, you know, too bad, because there ain't no renewable energies coming. Like, let's just be honest, okay? So the year before 2025 is the elections. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to call it now, okay? And I don't care if this ages well or not. I'm going to call it now, okay? I'm going to call it, and I'm going to say that as of 7:20 on Monday, the 13th of June, 2022, Joe Emilio calls out and says and predicts that 2025, the entirety of South Africa will shut down. I don't know when in 2025, but it's probably going to happen in 2025. No electricity, nothing. An entire shutdown of South Africa at some point, like a blackout of note, is going to happen in 2025. I'm predicting. I'm not basing this on a lot of evidence. I'm just basing this on some articles recently that have come out, like this one, and also for the past 2-3 weeks. Okay, they've been talking about stage 8, stage 10, right? Guys, stage 10, for those of you who do not know what stage 10 is, okay, some of us joke and like, oh, it's when they switch off the sun or they switch off the moon or whatever. Haha, funny, okay, but stage 10 is they shut down the power per province. So the entire Western Cape, for example, shut down for a number of hours. Eastern Cape, power, boom, gone. Gauteng, power. The entire province, ladies and gentlemen. That's stage 10. Which sounded pretty dire to me. So I think 2025 we're going to see probably stage 10 or a regular occurrence of stage 8, which is very close to stage 10 just without shutting down the entire province. So yeah, woo, it's going to be fun. Yeah, see. All I know is, like, if you like, somehow, some way, guys, try and get off the grid. It's the only choice you have right now. Yeah, I mean, there's a big debate around that. I'm keeping my eye on that, but yeah, it's interesting what is happening at the moment. Yeah, probably 2020, probably 2030. That's my prediction. I'm gonna vote against them. That's for sure. Wind farms, man, build the nuclear power plants. They don't want to do that because apparently it's too expensive and takes too long. They don't have the money to do so, and the maintenance is very expensive as well. But there's other nuclear plants. The problem is that South Africa doesn't have the technology apparently, and the funds and the manpower. I'm quoting what people have said. They're fast to decommission the power stations, but they are doing nothing to replace them. Not a smart move. Yeah, they say they are going to replace them. The question is when. So yes. I bought a mini Wi-Fi router, UPS, so I'll always be connected. Cheaper than inverter. Ooh, Voot, you must send me information on that. That sounds interesting. Might be sooner. It very well could be. Very, very well could be. Have you considered immigrating? Yes, I have. Matthew, you know what? Man, I'll let you know. Yes, getting off the grid is not cheap. You're right. I know. Not everybody can afford it. Yes, hopefully. I look, okay, so have I considered immigrating? I'm a special, no, I'm not going to say I'm special. I'm a put it this way. It's not off the cards ever, because I've learned over the past few years, as much as you think you know where your life is going to be in the next few years, you never really know. You can try and plan your life as best you can, but life is always going to throw you a curveball. And one example of that is a passing of a very close family member a month and a half ago. And that really put things into perspective for me and my family. Things have changed quite a bit in our family. And immigrating is not something that, if I was to do it, would be a simple decision. It's very complicated for me. Other people are lucky. Other people aren't married. Other people don't have kids. Other people, like, they're single and they can afford to immigrate. Awesome, man. If you can do it, I got nothing against it. Okay. But for me, it's just not that simple. And I'm just going to see where life goes, man. I do believe that there are, even as bleak as things may sound, I do believe that there is opportunity in South Africa. As crazy as it sounds, I do believe there is opportunity in South Africa. You just got to find it, and you got to be willing to work for it. Maybe one day I'll go into a deeper conversation about immigrating, but for now, that's where I'm at. Taking it day by day, trying to survive day by day. And if you want to immigrate, go ahead. If you don't, nothing wrong with that either. So about Cape exits, yeah, well, we'll see, man. Those things, or that movement's also developing quite rapidly, and things are getting very interesting in that movement. I do think, for those who there's a lot of naysayers. It's never gonna happen. Blah, blah, blah. You guys don't know, and yeah, you'll have egg on your face hopefully sooner rather than later. But we'll see. 2024 is going to be an interesting year, ladies and gentlemen. 2024 is the elections of South Africa. It's also the elections of the USA. It's going to be a lit year. Like, it's going to be crazy. Things are going to happen. Things are just, it's already starting, to be honest. But it can only get crazier from here. So we will see how that turns out. I think there was someone else that asked something, I can't. Anyway, doesn't matter. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wanted to comment on this. Getting off the grid isn't cheap. No, it's not. And it's. But I would say if you can. I know that's easier said than done for most people. But if you can, then do it. I'm gonna try. At least look. I'm looking at it this way. Before 2025, I want to be off the grid. Before 2022, that's 3 years. I can save up for stuff in 3 years. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's not gonna be easy, but I have to. So yeah. Gavin is really. Not Gavin. Matthew is really. Man, you really enjoyed that. That video, didn't you? I hope Cape exit is a thing. I was just wondering how borders will be monitored. Build a wall. You see, everybody's like always worried like about the logistics, right? And I get where it comes from, because we do have to think about these things. But here's the thing. There is so much that needs to happen before we start thinking about what's going to happen to infrastructure, what's going to happen to the borders, how are the passports. Look, the answers are actually very simple, and Phil Craig has answered them many times on the show. If you're in the Western Cape, you're going to get a Western Cape passport. I don't know what the name of the Western Cape country is going to be, so that's why I'm calling it the Western Cape. So anybody who's on this side of the Western Cape is going to get a passport, pretty much. And then borders, well, first of all, you must understand that our tax will be different. The tax system we're going to use is going to be very different to the rest of South Africa. And we're going to be able to afford a lot. And we're going to be able to afford a lot of good security management of the borders. And it's going to be like any other well-run country that protects its borders. We're going to have the same kind of regulations or laws that any other country has. You're allowed to come into the country. It's okay. I'll put it even simpler. Namibia used to be part of South Africa. I don't know if people know this. Namibia broke away. Is it difficult to go to Namibia? No. You can go to Namibia. It's the same with the Western Cape. You're going to be able to go to the Western Cape in and out. Like, it's not. I don't know why people get so worried. Like, it's like, guys, this is not what you should be worrying about right now. It's going to be quite easy, quite simple. Like, it's not That's not the problem. The problem is getting people to sign petitions and stand up and fight for a prosperous future. But then again, I don't blame people for being a bit skeptic. I mean, we were promised many things by the ANC and it's never been delivered. So I get it. But anyway, for those of you that are watching now, thank you so much for tuning in. Please leave a like, please share. And Ernst Roets will be joining me at 8 p.m. On the dot. He's going to be joining me. So yeah. And hold on. Sorry, guys. That's actually Ernst messaging me right now. So, cool. No, I didn't say that. All right, cool. Sorry. Ernst asked me a question and he made a mistake. So anyway, he is going to be on at 8 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to be talking about the AfriForum versus EFF closing statements today. Going to ask him some highlights and going to also chat to him about his adventures in CPAC 2022. That's going to be fun. Speaking of AfriForum versus EFF, ladies and gentlemen, I've seen an article today. AfriForum bays for EFF's blood in Kill the Boer song case. Mainstream media, they don't bays, the choice of words. No, they just want Julius to be held accountable for hate speech. It's as simple as that. But anyway, there you go. The article already trying to set the tone for you. Anyway, so blah 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 blah. Basically, EFF saying that they don't have money to pay the fine, whereas Mark Oppenheimer and AfriForum are saying no, they actually do because it was. Where is it? There it is. Countering Malema's claims on the stand that the EFF couldn't afford the fine AfriForum wanted, Oppenheimer pointed to the party having previously disclosed a donation of more than 3 million rand. Okay, that's point number one. He further made a reference to reports that Malema had a net worth of $2 million. That's not rand, it's dollars. Saying they should be investigating for perjury. So, of course, AfriForum fighting back. And one of the things that Mark said during the closing statement was, it's important to send a signal to other people that this kind of speech is not protected speech, that there will be consequences, that one cannot merely apologize for it, especially under conditions where the EFF have been completely and utterly unapologetic about it. And I couldn't agree more. And that's pretty much the end of the article. It's just going on to say that, like, you know, it doesn't really say much in this article. If you want, you can pause for a second and have a read. But I thought might be interesting is Ernst Roets kind of, he was blasting out tweets throughout the day. There you go. Saying he's back in court today. Here's a quick summary of why we were here, blah, blah. I mean, you guys probably know, but we'll have Ernst on to give his little thing there. And then, here we go with some of this stuff. But here we go. Oppenheimer, it was bizarre that after the court was presented with a copy of the book True Grant, is that Afrikaans? True Grant? With data on farm attacks, the respondents tried to convince the court that the book doesn't exist. I'm seeing a trend here. It's like so you're given a book. It's printed. It's in front of you. It's real. You can page through it. It's got words. Okay. And yet you still argue, but this book does not exist. What? Okay, well, something to ask Ernst about. And then Oppenheimer, how should a father who had to bury his daughter who was murdered on a farm in front of his grandchildren react when he hears Malema claiming on a public platform that there are no farm murders, or when he chants slogans like "kill the Boer, kill the farmer"? A very valid point, and this is what angers a lot of people. And everybody should be angry about it. It should frustrate people. It should make people upset. And "kill the Boer" should be considered hate speech. Sorry, I'm laughing at just remembering some of this stuff, like Oppenheimer going through the grotesque statements made by Malema during his cross-examination, arguing that his chanting of slogans like "kill the Boer" should be read in that context. Like, this guy has no shame. Malema. Oppenheimer argues that Malema has an unapologetic stance, that he knows that what the law is, but that he persists in the chanting of "kill the Boer, kill the farmer." Therefore, it is argued that the judge should order Malema and the EFF to pay for AfriForum's legal costs. Yeah, sure, why not? Live with Joe Emilio tonight at 8 p.m. Thank you, Ernst. And then retweet that one. Yeah, that's an old tweet. But yeah, there's some of the very short highlights from Ernst Roets' Twitter page. If you want to, I have linked his Twitter in the link in the description below. So don't be shy. Go give him a follow. You can see some more tweets, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about, man. It's a very sensitive topic, I know, for most people. But before I continue, ladies and gentlemen, those of you just tuning in, don't go anywhere. Ernst Roets will be on my show at 8 p.m., ladies and gentlemen. Very much looking forward to it. We'll be talking about AfriForum versus EFF, the trial, the closing statements. And we're going to be talking about CPAC 2022. If you don't know what CPAC is, it is the conservative something convention thing, the conference that he was at, and it looked cool. I'm going to ask him about it. And we're going to talk about it a whole lot more. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, I'm busy raising funds, so please consider giving a donation. 60 rand is all I need from 500 people, 60 rand each. I'll hit my goal and my fight against cancel culture. If you want to know more about what this fight is all about, link is in the description. It's the first link, ladies and gentlemen, so please go check it out. And you will find all the information there. You can each video is less than 4 minutes, and you can quickly get updated. And if you want to support me, then please give just a small donation. It would be greatly, greatly appreciated, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get back to it. Let me see some of the comments. I see a lot of you guys are chatting away. Let's see here. Sorry, I have a warped sense of humor. So do I, so don't worry. I think a lot of us do on this channel. Hello, Gavin Comer and every other Ronaldo viewer. Hey, you guys are more than welcome to tune in tonight. Let's see. Okay, the rest of you are chatting to each other. That's cool. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, I do have a new video out, also linked in the description, with Rob Hutchinson from DRSA, talking about how the ANC is called DRSA, AfriForum, and other organizations terrorists and saboteurs. So please go check that out. Rob gives a lot more detail, and his fight against the health minister and the ANC is not over. It has only just begun, and he gives a bit of an update of what it's been like so far in the court proceedings, or legal proceedings rather. They go to court at the end of July. That's when they go to court, and I'm hopefully going to have Gideon Joubert and Rob Hutchinson on the show for an hour during their not during their court proceedings, but between it. hopefully after day 2, we'll have them on the show. We'll chat about what the craziest moments were, how's it going, and yeah, there's Gavin giving a link to the new video. Thank you so much, Gavin. You're on fire, man. You're on fire. I love it. So please go check out the new video. Give it a share. It's only 10 minutes. So yeah, enjoy that. And if you're feeling generous, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, like I said, don't give super chats. Rather go to the link in the description. Support my fight against cancel culture. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we wait 20 minutes until Ernst Roets joins me on the show, pretty much gone through all the headlines I wanted to go through tonight and told you about my one-man show, told you about my cancel culture fight, told you about Ernst Roets coming onto the show. So yeah, while I have some of you here, Germ will be on my show tomorrow evening, and now half the people are going to leave. But I'm kidding. Germ Warfare will be on my show tomorrow evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be chatting about things, I guess, just what he's up to, general things, the world. There's no really set topic for tomorrow evening, but it's gonna be fun. It's nice to chat to Germ every now and again. So Germ will be joining tomorrow evening, and then, ladies and gentlemen, you won't see me until next week, because Thursday is a public holiday, so we won't be having a Comedians Roast the Headlines this week. I'll be going away and enjoying a nice long break, very much needed, with family, and enjoying a Father's Day, which is going to be very different this year, and yeah, just going to be spending time with family. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know why I'm saying this now, but I'm saying it. I'll see you next week, Monday. I'm going to have a very interesting guest next week, Monday. And enjoy yourselves. If you're going away, be safe, drive safe. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, which is pretty much anything. I'm kidding. Next week, Monday, I have Nolu on the show, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to be talking about why feminism is a failure. Ooh, that's going to be a hot topic. You don't want to miss out on that Monday evening. We'll be chatting about that, why feminism is a failure, something like that, or has feminism failed, or some question like that. Nolu, very interesting woman, gonna have her on the show. It's gonna be a lot of fun. You don't want to miss out on that conversation. And yeah, so Freelance Kate saying, what about Wednesday? Unfortunately, I have evening plans on Wednesday. I've got to pack before I go away. Wednesday, unfortunately, not going to be able to stream. But you'll see me tonight and you'll see me Tuesday. I don't know why I smiled like that. But yeah, thank you guys so much, by the way. For those of you that have subscribed, for those of you that watch and tune in when I'm live, thank you. Thank you. It really means a lot to me. And those of you that support me, whether you're a member, whether you give a Sasa chat, or whether you contribute to the cancel culture fight, thank you. Thank you very much for all your support. It is greatly appreciated. I really do appreciate every single subscriber and every single person that watches my video. You guys are awesome. You keep me doing this. I mean, if I didn't get any views, I probably wouldn't keep on doing this. But I like having these conversations, and I like being invited into your house, on your phone or on TV, wherever I am. It's greatly appreciated. All right, so Gavin's saying, enjoy time off. You deserve it. Come back refreshed. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kevin. Next week we're gonna have a full lineup, ladies and gentlemen, because next week Nolu's on the show. Like I said, you know who else is on the show? Callie Crail is going to be on the show, ladies and gentlemen. Callie Crail, CEO of AfriForum. Yes, I'm having an AfriForum Fest. And then we'll be back with Comedians Roast the Headlines that Thursday. We'll be back with that. And we got some interesting people afterwards as well, man. So don't go anywhere. We've got awesome things coming. What is a Sasa chat? On this channel, we call super chats Sasa chats. And that's my mascot, Cyril Ramasaurus. So my mascot, Cyril Ramasaurus, he sometimes asks for Sasa chats every now and again. So, but don't give me Sasa chats right now. Rather, donate to the Cancel Culture Fund. That'd be greatly appreciated. Woo! It's already started. Don't miss out on that conversation with Noah, though. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really, really fun. That is on Monday the 20th. And then the 27th, the following Monday, I've got Amber Boyson, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I know not a lot of you might know Amber Boyson, but she's amazing. She is an activist. She's also with Freedom Front Plus, and lovely lady. I saw her give a speech at the Free the Cape March. It was powerful, and I want to have her on the show. So it's going to be nice. Hey, I'm just saying, man, people watch on their phones and on their TVs, man. That's all I'm saying. Like, damn. Woo! Okay. I don't know why, like, answering this question is so difficult. Well, actually, I kind of know why. But, I mean, it's like people are scared to use... Let's do a bit of an experiment, okay? Seeing as this question was asked, all right? I'm going to open up Google, okay? And I'm going to ask Google, what is a woman? Okay? What is a woman? Question mark, okay? And enter. Okay, there's a documentary which was done by Daily Wire, which I will watch at some point. Let's see. Okay, now it's all about that document. I just want, okay. It's kind of smart for Daily Wire to do this, because now when someone Googles what is a woman, their documentary pops up. I don't want the documentary. Hold on. Let's try this. Okay. Okay. This is interesting. Okay, now Google is by no means a dictionary, because some of the stuff is not accurate, okay? But let's just give it a chance, okay? Woman, okay? This is Google's dictionary, apparently Oxford language, okay? We'll see. Woman, an adult female human being, okay? An adult female human being. Now you've got to define what female is. Okay, see how Google worked around that. Google gave you an answer, but now you need to define the answer. Because that's not really an answer, right? That's not really an answer. Like, let's be honest, okay? Like, well played, Google. Well played. They don't want to be canceled, you see. Anyway, a female member of a workplace, team, etc. Thousands of women were laid off. I don't see how that defines a woman, but okay. A female person associated with a particular place, activity, or occupation. She was the first Oxford woman to take a first in physics. Okay, just out of curiosity, all right? I'm not going to ask Siri the same question because I know what she says. But it probably says the same thing as Google. Like, I just out of curiosity, I want to type in what is a man. Okay, let's just see the difference. Okay, let's just see the difference in. Okay. Oh. Okay. Here's something. Here is something. All right. What is a man? An adult human being, okay, so similar to the woman definition, okay? I guess they had to put that in there because now you have to define what a male is, okay? Okay, fine. A human being of either sex, a person. So what they mean is goodwill to all men. So when they say all men, okay, fine, maybe. It's a verb, apparently. of personnel. So work at, run, or operate. So to man something, okay? To defend. That makes sense. Fortify the spirits of courage of. So he manned himself with dauntless air. Okay. Still, you've gotta define male and female. So my question is, all right, and it's just a question. Are we now creating new terms for women and female? Because that's how it kind of feels. But then again, like, what is a woman? And it says, oh, it's a female human. Or an adult female human being. Okay, if you define female as a human being that has, I don't know what the definition of female is, so I'm going to be making this up, but whatever that is that not the answer of what is a woman? Because, like, for example, we're just going around in circles, aren't we? We're just prolonging the inevitable here. Google found a nice workaround because they're saying it's an adult male human being. Like, that's what a man is. That's, you know, why not just say it's a human being with a penis and testicles that has, or a human being that has reproductive organs that produce sperm for production. I don't know what the actual definition of a male is. I guess I can Google quickly. Hold on. What is a male? Let's just maybe I have to say human male to be more specific. Human male. You know how Google is. Human male. Okay. Human male. What is a human male? Let's go there. Okay. I'm going to be really interested to know. Hold on. Okay. I'm just going through definitions, guys. That's all I'm doing. Okay. I'm probably going to, someone's probably going to attack me and call me all sorts of obscene things, but I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. That's all I'm investigating. All right. So here we go. This is, if you Google what is a male, okay? They now say, what is a human male? Okay, they say a man is an adult male human, okay? Prior to adulthood, a man human is referred to as a boy, a male child, or adolescent. Like most other male mammals, a man's genome usually inherits an X chromosome from the mother and a Y chromosome from the father, okay? So that's pretty scientific, and that's a definition I'm willing to accept, okay? Now for the real kicker. Let's see if we add FE, what is a female? Now remember, Google said that a woman is an adult female human, okay? So if we define female, we will know what a woman is. And this is by Google's definition. I'm very scared to present her. Okay, here we go. Okay, there's not, amazingly, wow. Okay, I just want to point out something, okay? You remember just now when I put what is a male? There was like a clear definition at the top, right? It was like the search thing, right? It was like the search thing, and then right here was like a paragraph where I read the definition. That's not for the women, okay? The women, a woman is an adult female human. Prior to adulthood, a female human is referred to as a girl, a female child, or adolescent. Sorry, let me just sort out. I think we're having a bit of technical issues. Give me a second. Cool. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so I mean, but there's certain phrases such there's no mention of the chromosome. I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm not gonna get into more details about it. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It doesn't seem like, I don't know. It feels like information's missing. I'm gonna leave it at that. That's all I'm gonna say before someone tries to shut down my YouTube channel because I try to find out definitions on Google. Okay, I'll leave it there. That's all I'm gonna say, ladies and gentlemen. My guest is waiting in the green room, so I'm gonna go on a quick break, and we'll be back with Ernst Roets from AfriForum. We're gonna be talking about the closing arguments. I don't know if some of you can hear the rain. I told you it's going to get hectic. We're going to be talking about AfriForum versus EFF, the closing arguments, and we're going to be talking about CPAC 2022. What is it? Why did Ernst go? And what now? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be right back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's break time. Don't go anywhere, I want to share some announcements. Firstly, as you saw, I have a one-man show stand-up comedy special happening on the 30th of July of this year. Please book your tickets as soon as possible. There is limited seating. There's only 40 tickets available. Tickets also include a meal. Oh, and the show is directed by the legend Barry Hilton. Avoid disappointment and book your tickets now. Just follow the link in the description, ladies and gentlemen, where you will find all the information. And secondly, please consider becoming a member to this channel. It goes a long way to supporting me and the channel. And for as little as $60, you can become a member to this channel and get exclusive perks. Just check out the join button below for all the details. And if you don't want to become a member, that's absolutely fine. Don't forget that you can also donate by giving a super chat, or Sasa chats as we call them on this channel, or you can use super thanks to also donate to this channel. All donations are greatly appreciated. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that are just tuning in, don't go anywhere. This is just a short break. The show will be starting again shortly, so enjoy the rest of the show. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet already. Thanks. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Joe Emilio Show. I am here, as promised, with Ernst Roets from AfriForum. Ernst, how are you doing?
Joe, I'm doing well, and yourself? Good to be here.
I'm good, man. Thank you so much for giving up some of your time. I know you're a very, very busy man. You've been traveling and doing things always, and that's that's exactly what I want to speak to you about. Let's start with CPAC. Am I pronouncing it correctly? CPAC?
Yeah, okay. That's it.
So tell us, I don't know if anyone who's watching now has seen your, I think it was a 10-minute speech, which by the way was amazing. I watched it. Let's start with this. What is CPAC?
Okay, well, so CPAC is the Conservative Political Action Conference. It's an American conference. It's been in America since the 70s, I think 78 or something. I can't remember the exact year. And it's been sort of, I don't think officially, but sort of the political conference of the Republican Party. But the point is not so much to be a conference for the party, but to be a conference for conservative ideas, of which the Republican Party, of course, which would of course resonate more with the Republican Party. And it's been going on for a while, and it's a very big conference. It's the biggest conservative political conference in the world. In America, they've had speakers. Ronald Reagan was one of their main speakers for years. various American presidents, George W. Bush, Donald Trump was the keynote speaker for the last few conferences. And I attended CPAC in Washington in 2020, and it was attended by about 20 to 30,000 people, if I recall. So it's a massive conference. It's like a rock show in a way. And they have started taking it abroad to take the conference to other countries. And there has already been CPACs in Japan, South Korea, Australia, Brazil. I'm not sure if there has been one in Jerusalem yet, in Israel, or if they're planning to host one, but it's in the running. And then this was actually the first one in Europe ever that they hosted now, and they decided to host it in Hungary for various reasons. And I was privileged enough to be invited to be a speaker at this conference.
Fantastic, man. That's awesome. It sounds like a party I'd also want to go to be honest. I saw that you rubbed shoulders with some very the wokes of Twitter would say the white supremacists of the world, even though some of these people are black. But
yeah, exactly.
I saw a picture with you and what's her name? Oh, how can I?
Candace.
Yes, Candace Owens. Yes. What was it like meeting her, man?
Oh, Candace is great. I'm a bigger fan of her having met her than I was before, just because she's so down to earth. She's so approachable. She's friendly. So that's, I've said this to people at the office as well, that I mean, having the opportunity to speak at this conference was amazing. But if I had to trade the opportunity, if I had to lose the opportunity to have been a speaker or the opportunity to have backstage access, I would lose the opportunity to be a speaker, because having that backstage access, I was able to meet speakers from all around the world, and people like Candace Owens. And I can tell you, so she was due to speak the morning, and it was fairly quiet backstage actually, and she was sitting on the couch and she was talking with Matt Schlapp, I think, if I recall, who's the chairperson of the American Conservative Union. That's the organization that hosts CPAC. And I know Matt Schlapp, I've already met him. So I went to introduce myself, and I said to Candace, listen, I just want to introduce myself, and I told her who I am, and I told her a bit about AfriForum and about South Africa. And I said to her that I'm not aware if she knows this, but she has a very big following in South Africa. A lot of people in South Africa really appreciate the work she's doing, and I could see, I mean, you can see from someone's face if they really appreciate something that you're saying, or if they're just having a conversation just to be polite. And I could really see that she was engaging. So she actually stood up and we chat for, I don't know, 5 minutes or something. And we spoke about South Africa for the whole 5 minutes and what's happening in South Africa. And she really seemed interested. And yeah, that's it. And I also met her husband, who was there. But obviously not only Candace. I met quite a few speakers, especially people from think tank, researchers and journalists from all over the world. So it was a great opportunity.
Are you gonna interview Candace anytime soon?
Well, no, it's not in the running. But what I can say is that I mean, I don't want to speak on her behalf or create any expectations in her absence. But we did discuss the idea of she coming to South Africa,
Oh, wow.
visiting South Africa, and when she comes, or if she comes, that she can come just for holiday, but also if she's open to bring a camera crew with her to interview some people. I just said to her that we'd love to help to make sure that she gets in touch with the right people. So I hope it works out, but it's not like we discussed it as a plan. It was sort of an idea that we discussed.
Just like it would be cool kind of thing. No, I get you.
Exactly.
All right. So, is there anyone else? Like, did you meet who is it? Like, for example, Matt Walsh or anyone else from Daily Wire, or did you meet Donald Trump?
Yeah, Matt Walsh wasn't there. I met quite a few people. I met people from all over the world, so it wasn't only Americans. But from America, I met Ben Ferguson, the podcast host and radio host. Um, Quite a few. There was a group of the New York Young Republicans, which I found very insightful. We had dinner together, or at one of the dinner events, me and my colleagues were seated with the New York Young Republicans. And what was great about them is actually that they knew who I was and they knew who AfriForum was before we met. So it was quite a surprise when one of them came up to me and said, "Oh yeah, we know who you are. You are Ernst Roets, and we know about AfriForum, and we know about your
Nice.
case." And so they've been following from New York, and we had a great chat. And something that I thought was quite funny. People might have seen this on Twitter. So at this dinner, I was seated next to Gavin Wax, who's the president of the New York Young Republicans, and we were having a conversation, and someone and we were actually talking about South African politics and American politics, and someone took a picture of the two of us, and he asked me if he can tweet the picture, and I said, yeah, sure, and I said to him, tweet it, and then I'll retweet it, and then I sort of said to him, well, just be warned, I've got basically the whole EFF membership following me on Twitter. So if I retweet it, some people will reply and will tell you that I'm some white supremacist or something. And he said, well, don't worry about that. And so he tweeted the picture, and then I retweeted it. And like one of the first comments was someone who said, look, Ernst is having dinner with a white supremacist. And so they actually, so they didn't know who he was. They just attacked him because, he was having dinner with me. So he must be some form of it. I mean, obviously it's EFF folks, so you don't need to take that seriously. But the great thing on a sort of more serious note is that people can see through this. People aren't concerned about when people trash talk you on Twitter anymore.
Yeah.
But maybe, sorry, just to get back to your question. So I met quite a few people. I met the leadership of Vlaams Belang, the Flemish party, which I really enjoyed talking with them. And Flemish, for those who don't know, is so close to Afrikaans. It's closer to Afrikaans than Dutch. So we could speak to each other. I could speak Afrikaans, and they could speak Flemish, and so forth. People from Jerusalem who were there, the Australian CPAC people who were there, obviously Hungarians. I was able to meet quite a few people in the Hungarian government. And there were people from all over the world, from South Korea, and what was great from England as well. What was great about this conference is after my speech and just in engaging with people there, I was invited to speak at 5 conferences all over the
Nice.
world. So I just need to follow up on that. And I mean, speaking at conferences is great, but you can't just travel and speak at conferences all the time.
Yeah.
But it was a great opportunity to do some networking and meet people and talk about what's happening and so forth.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, after your speech, because it's a very powerful speech, and you dropped some truth bombs, and I think a lot of international folk may not know everything that happens in South Africa when it comes to farm murders, when it comes to farm attacks, when it comes to even, you called it out. You said the ANC are a communist or socialist party and stuff like that. And ANC internationally is labeled as like, the freedom fighter, well, the liberating party or whatever.
Movement.
Yeah, liberation movement and all that stuff. So was there anyone that came to you after your speech and was like, wow, is that really happening in South Africa?
Well, actually not. And that's good news, because that's one of the main conclusions I got from this trip. I mean, I've done a few liaison tours on behalf of AfriForum, and something that really stuck with me, a conclusion that I reached now, is it's not so much necessary to convince people that there's a serious problem in South Africa anymore. People know about this. They don't have all the detail, but people already know the ANC is a bad government. It's not the liberation movement, the party of Mandela and so forth. A lot of people in the media, unfortunately, still would like us to believe that. And most people, when you meet people in the street, they know hardly anything about South Africa. Just aware that if you meet people in the street in South Africa, they would hardly know anything about Hungary, for example. So I'm not too concerned about that. But speaking with politicians and some more informed journalists who tend to be, not leftist journalists and researchers and so forth, they all know there's a serious problem in South Africa. I think the challenge now is to get people to talk about South Africa, to be more outspoken about South Africa. And I can see, and that's another interesting observation that I got, is that there's a generational thing here as well, where older people tend to be more hesitant or careful to say, well, what's happening in South Africa is not right, or the ANC is screwing up the country. And I think it's because they think about the political baggage of the 1990s and the 80s and so forth. But younger people tend to be much more open to say, well, listen, we need to do something and we need to talk about what's happening in South Africa. And something that someone from, actually a Hungarian, who said to me that really stuck with me was that his words were, South Africa is becoming an important civilizational battlefront, and we can't afford to keep silent. So they know, at least some people are waking up to the idea that the world should take note of what's happening in South Africa, because as we've been saying to people, in a way South Africa is very far behind the rest of the world, but in a way we are ahead, because we're experiencing problems now that America might experience in 10 years from now, and England might experience, and so forth. So, and I think the point that people should take lessons from South Africa is it resonates with people, which is good news.
Yeah, that is good news. I'm very glad to hear it, because people like yourself, other channels, one of them mentioned earlier, guys like Big Daddy Liberty and Ramon and others, Ernst van Sale, have been trying to tell the world for the longest time, hey, things are not cool in South Africa. Like, so it's good to know that everyone, AfriForum, everyone included, our messages are being heard. It's good to hear that.
Yeah.
So,
well, I can, if I can plug Roman Kabanak in his absence. So someone in Hungary actually came up to me and said, go and ask the guy from the Morning Shot. No, they actually knew him mentioned him by name. They said, go and ask Roman Kabanak why he's been so quiet lately. So it's good to see. It's good to see that people are following the YouTube channels from South Africa.
That's fascinating, though. That's really fascinating.
And
that's
again,
awesome.
I'm not trying to say that it's everyone in Hungary or all over the world.
Yeah.
Obviously, but at least people are taking note that there's some stuff happening in South Africa that is of importance to the rest of the world. So people who are interested are taking more note, which is a good thing. And I think social media and alternative media is playing an immensely important role in that regard.
Absolutely. Speaking about alternative media, AfriForum has its own YouTube channel, and I encourage people to go subscribe to that, because you guys are doing something very interesting and very, very, I would say, noble, because you're actually documenting your court cases, at least the ones that you can document and that you're allowed to document. You literally stream the entire thing. And today was a very important day, I think, for one of AfriForum's court cases, which is it was the closing arguments of AfriForum versus EFF, Julius Malema, and Kill the Boer saga, as I call it.
Yep.
What is it that you can share with us that happened today in court?
Yeah, well, firstly about the court cases. So just so people know, people might be interested to know that you can't just live stream a court case. You can't just take cameras into the court. You're not allowed to, actually, unless the judge gives explicit permission. And it's quite a process. You have to file a formal application with the court through your lawyers to get permission to film the proceedings, to have a camera inside court, or to live stream or whatever. You have to be very explicit in what you intend to do. So sometimes we can't do it in all court cases, but especially the ones that we believe are more bigger picture court cases that the public should take note of, or public interest court cases, you could say. We have been doing that, and it's been doing very well to live stream the entire court case. So today, and we've done it with this case. We did it with the firearms case against Julius Malema for shooting the rifle at the political gathering of, I think it was the EFF's 5th birthday celebrations. And it's been doing well. So today was the final arguments, and what that basically means is we've had almost 2 weeks in court in February, where all the witnesses were called and the evidence was led and so forth. And today was set aside for the legal teams to come back to present their final arguments. So it's to summarize based on the evidence that was led and to say, well, this is why we think we should win. And I think it went well. The day was very long, and I'm grateful to the judge for that, because we were going overtime, and the judge's view was, we're going overtime, but that's fine. Let's wrap everything up. Let's keep going until we finish, instead of booking another day, which will, have an impact on legal costs and programs and scheduling and so forth. So I don't know. I think we left just after 5 or something, when we were supposed to leave at 3, I think. But so we finished now, and so a few things stood out in terms of the final arguments. One thing that's important for people to know is that the test, or the question of whether something is hate speech, does not depend on whether it actually leads to violence. So we've been leading testimony about farm attack victims to tell their stories and so forth. And we had someone from AfriForum's trauma unit to testify. And the point of that, as we've said from the beginning, is it's not to try to prove a link between Malema singing the song and now they go and murder the people because Malema sang the song. But it's to prove that, or to show that the song causes harm, which includes psychological harm. So part of what part of the point, one of the points we made was that was about the impact of someone who was a victim of a farm attack, or Duncan Prinsloo, who testified, for example, whose wife was murdered next to him during the farm attack in bed. And so he testified what goes through his head. What does he think when he sees Malema going up onto a public platform chanting, "Kill the boer, kill the farmer"? So Malema's legal team made the argument that we were not able to prove a direct link. I would say that we did prove a direct link, but and what I mean by that is I testified about the extent to which we have found farm attacks and farm murders increase after high-profile cases of hate speech. But the question of whether we prove the link is actually irrelevant, because that's not the question of whether something is hate speech. So that was a point of argument today. And then there was a what I regard as a weird argument by Malema's legal team, claiming on the principle of res judicata, that how do you explain? Basically, the argument was that there was no point of us being in court because the matter has been settled before. It's a principle of not being able to go to court twice on the same issue. So the argument was, yes, well, because this has been in court already in 2011. And then Mark Oppenheimer explained that, well, it's like if you beat your wife and you go to court, and then after that you beat your wife again, you can go to court again. What you can't do is if you beat your wife and you go to court, and you win or you lose, doesn't matter. You can't be taken to court again for the same incident, but this is a new incident. So I don't think that was a particularly strong argument. And then I would say their main line today was to try and discredit all the witnesses we led. So they were claiming that everything I said in court should be rejected because I'm not an expert. They were saying that the trauma counselor who testified on behalf of AfriForum, everything he said should be rejected because it was hearsay and he didn't disclose so he was testifying about his the psychological impact on the victims, and then they were saying, well, that's hearsay. So they were arguing that the two victims who testified should be rejected because it's not relevant. And so they went through that. That's basically their line, trying to attack all the victims. So it was basically a technical legal argument. But I'm still optimistic. I think it went well. I think Mark Oppenheimer did particularly well. And I think what stood out to me in the court case as a whole was the cross-examination of Julius Malema, what came out there. And the point is that it's true that when you deal with hate speech, it has to be seen within context. And the point here is the context is the comments made by Julius Malema in testimony under oath that he feels nothing for the victims of farm murders, that he's not able to express any sympathy with the victims, that he condones the singing of of the song by EFF members, that he might one day call for white people to be slaughtered, and he made this a whole list of these atrocious comments. And so I think that really, I think he won the case for us. I mean, we'll wait for judgment. We don't know, but I'm optimistic. Obviously, you can never predict a court case,
Yeah.
but if I had to predict, I would say I'm sure we'll win this case.
Well, I hope so. I mean, something needs to be done. I've always said, when I was following earlier with the 2-week trial and posting some of the clips, the important ones, the ones that you just mentioned, everyone that was watching, everyone in the live chats was saying, like, this is hate speech. Like, any normal human being with a conscience can see that what he says leads to violence in some shape or form, and it's disgusting to me that he can dismiss the feelings and emotions of human beings who have gone through a very traumatic experience. I mean, as bad as some of these farm murders are and attacks, and Ernst, you have, all people in South Africa will know how horrible these attacks are. I wouldn't wish that to happen to Malema. I know that sounds weird for me to say, because some people,
Yeah, of course.
some people would happily try and repay, eye for an eye, but I don't want that. I don't think that that's how we should have the mentality, that kind of mentality. He does deserve to have, justice served for the things that he said, but he didn't necessarily do it himself. I mean, he says things, people act on that. Those people that do those horrible things need to be held accountable.
Yep.
But as for a man like Julius, who is dangerous, in my opinion, especially when you have the power that he has, the influence that he has, you do have to be held responsible for the things that you say. And and I think and I hope that the judge presiding will also view it that way. That this is not just a random person on a soapbox in the middle of Johannesburg who has 3 people listening to him saying, kill the Boer, kill the farmer. This is a man that is heard internationally on sometimes the grandest stage. And he needs to be held accountable. That's my opinion. But I do want to ask you one thing. I know I'm not asking you to character bash or anything like that, but come on, I really want to know what your opinion is specifically on the what was it? That lady that they got to examine the song.
Professor Gunner.
Yes. Now,
Yes.
there were some great moments from her too. I mean, was there any specific moment where you were like, oh, come on, like you can't, because she also refused to answer point blank questions, simple yes or no or whatever, and she was going around and trying to avoid, and she knew that if she answered it, it would break down the ideology and her whole thesis. But yeah, what were your thoughts on that witness?
Yeah, well, she was actually in court today to come and listen to the final arguments, and our legal team argued that she was not a credible witness, and it was quite bizarre to listen to her testimony. So I remember at one stage, fairly in the beginning, Advocate Oppenheimer asked her, is it possible for a song to lead to violence? And she responded and she said, I know what you're trying to do and I'm not going to play along.
Yes.
And so the point is, it doesn't matter what the advocate is trying to do. I mean, you're an expert on songs and the significance thereof. So you're here to answer questions. And at some points, she just refused to answer questions, and she sort of looked at the judge as if she was waiting for the judge to intervene, to tell her that she doesn't need to answer the questions. So the testimony was weird. It was strange. I think I don't think she did them any favors. And there was one part that I thought was also a bit funny, was when she said that she actually thinks the stem is a beautiful song. And so I immediately thought, well, what's Malema and the EFF leadership going to think about this witness of theirs coming to testify about the stem being a beautiful song? So I'm not sure if she's too popular with them. But yeah, I think it was really weird listening to her testimony, and she might be a great lady. I don't know her personally. I haven't spoken with her. I just think I said hello and goodbye. But it was really, really bizarre to listen, and people can go back. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
People can go and listen to her testimony. It was really out of this world. It's a strange thing to experience.
I gotta admit, man, there were some people, I think the first day of interrogating Julius Malema, Mark Oppenheimer was cross-examining, really. A lot of people were like, oh, Mark is a failure. He's not going after Malema. He's not doing, I think people wanted a more aggressive Mark, but he was calm, collect, and strategic. And it was only really in the second day that you started to see why Mark was, acting, or not acting, but doing it the way he was doing it, because I feel like the more calm he was, the more angry Julius got. I feel like the more relaxed he was, the more he allowed Julius to kind of show his true colors. Would you agree with that? Do you agree with the way that Mark handled the cross-examination?
Yeah, definitely, and that's the thing with public cases like this is sometimes it's annoying, but you get criticism that I think you don't deserve. So in the 1940s, I think 43, if I recall, I can't remember the year. Jan Smuts, who of course the Boer War general who was advising Churchill, went to England and he spoke in the British Parliament, and he made a joke there. He was talking about the war, and it was around the time of D-Day, and the war was starting to turn in the Allies' favor. And he said, oh, I'm not going to discuss strategy with you today, because we'll leave strategy to the amateur strategists who don't have to run the risk of actually implementing what they believe should be done, and who also don't need to be confidential about their strategies. And it reminded me a bit about this case and cases like these. So, I mean, sure, people wanted fireworks from the get-go, but there was a particular and a deliberate strategy that was followed in the cross-examination, which we discussed beforehand, which was Malema was cross-examined for 2 days by Advocate Oppenheimer, and he started the cross-examination by just asking him general questions about EFF policy and getting him to talk, and why do you say this, and what about this, and just talking about the policy in a way to get him comfortable, but in another way to get him to say stuff that you can come back to afterwards and say, oh, well, now you've said this, but yesterday when you testified, you said the following. And then as it sort of drags out, to start to become more aggressive in the questioning. So it was a deliberate strategy, but it's I think it's just part of the game when something like this is live streamed, that people will comment and say, oh, well, what are you doing, and why didn't you ask this, and why didn't you say this, and if our approach was we were not playing for the bench, and if we were trying to play for the bench, or for people watching, on the proverbial pavilion, we wouldn't win the case. It's a balancing act, but well, it's not a balancing act. It's a negative consequence that you have to. We just have to know that this is the reality, that people are going to comment. And people are emotionally invested in the case. So I don't blame people for becoming upset or becoming excited and, whatever, because people also have an interest in the outcome of this case.
Well, I absolutely, you're 100% correct on that. And I try to, manage expectations, because I'm also part of a legal battle, and it's dragging on. The legal system is very slow in South Africa. And I actually poked a little bit of fun at those that were saying those kind of comments, because I was like, guys, what do you expect Mark to do? Do you expect him to be like in the TVs where he's like, Your Honor, this man deserves to be condemned for the rest of his life? And it's not it's not the movies. It's not how it works.
And we don't have the American system with lawyers walking up and down in court and all of that. So we were joking about that. There's that scene in The Dark Knight where Harvey Dent prosecutes this one criminal. And then the guy pulls out a gun and he tries to shoot he's busy testifying, and he tries to shoot the prosecutor, and then the gun backfires, and then the prosecutor grabs the gun, and I think he sort of dismantles it. He says something like, "You should have bought American," and
Yeah.
he bashes the gun on the table, and it's like the typical American Hollywood fireworks. Firstly, the American system is a bit complex in the sense that different states have different systems, but we don't have, our system is not like that at all, and I don't think it's good. I don't think that type of spectacled court cases is necessarily good for actually getting justice done in a matter. But yeah, we don't have that type of system, so people shouldn't watch movies and expect court cases in South Africa to look like that. Or what's the few good men as you can't handle the truth, that type of thing. It's just not the way the law works, at least in South Africa.
Well, I think in general, I mean, even if you watch, some of the American court, like if you watch the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, some of those clips, it's boring. It's not. I mean, there are some funny moments because it's Johnny Depp, but most of it's boring. Court in general is boring. But I was glued to the live stream. I found it very interesting. I was captivated, and I know that's weird to say because anybody who goes to watch it, they will be bored. Like, no offense to anyone who's in the courtroom, but it's long, it's lengthy. There's a lot of things going on and a lot of questions over and over, and people get impatient. But I mean, when you slowly start to see that strategy unfolding and the one that lady, I mean, at one point I pointed out how she was breathing very heavily, like you could see she was panicking.
And she was sort of shaking.
Yeah, she was panicking, and those are the moments that I was like, yes.
Yeah, but that's exactly, you're right. So you need to follow the case to be able to pick up moments like that. And I mean, you mentioned that, just for context, you mentioned the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. That's a good example of a particular state where the legal process is much more toned down. It's not like the example I mentioned, people walking up and down in court. And I think it's for people who followed that, I think it's a better system. It was very structured. You know what's going on. And but yeah, so that actually was a bit closer to our system, even though they had a jury and we don't have a jury system in South Africa. But I think it's better to have an orderly process.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to chat to you a bit about your other case, the flag case. I haven't been able to keep a close eye on it, unfortunately. But is there any updates you can give us on what's happening with that court case?
Yes. So that case was argued in the Supreme Court of Appeals, and we're awaiting judgment now. So we'll see what happens. Just some context about the case. It's a difficult case for us to do as AfriForum, and we obviously discussed this, and it's a bit of a PR challenge because it's so easy to misconstrue why AfriForum is involved with that case. And an interesting thing that I think a lot of people don't know, we were actually added to that case by the Nelson Mandela Foundation. We did not become involved on our own accord. And so what happened, they filed an application for the flag to be banned. And AfriForum's position has always been that, we don't display the flag. If people, I think it's happened probably twice in the last 10, 15 years, where we would have an event and someone shows up with a flag, and then we would tell that person to put it away. So we believe that, the way to deal with this issue is through dialogue, through social interaction, rather than just banning it. Because it doesn't comply with the definition of hate speech. So it's not an incitement to violence. If you display the flag and you combine that with a message to say, let's go and, assault black people or whatever, then it's hate speech, obviously. But just displaying a flag, even if it's offensive, or displaying a symbol, even if it's offensive, that just doesn't comply with the definition of hate speech. But so what happened in this case is the Nelson Mandela Foundation filed the application for the flag to be declared as hate speech. And then they did something that was either very malicious or very ignorant, but they added AfriForum as a respondent to the matter. And they said the reason why is because AfriForum is displaying the flag. And AfriForum, they claim, displayed the flag at the Black Monday protests in 2016. And so they said, well, since AfriForum are sort of the champions of waving the old flag, we have to add them to this case so they can defend their position. And we could have, so we had to make a decision. We could have said, well, we're just not going to become involved. But they were telling the world that we've been displaying the flag, which we haven't done. So part of the reason why we became involved in that case is to explain our position. Or no, let me put it differently. Part of the reason why we didn't step out of that case after we've been added is because we needed to explain what our position actually is. And another reason is that that we believe it doesn't comply with the definition of hate speech. And it's very clear that AfriForum does not display the flag, and we discourage people from displaying it. And there's a good quote on this, which I've mentioned a few times before, by Douglas Murray, the British commentator, who said, the problem with fighting for free speech is you never get to do it on the grounds you would have hoped for. Because it's never necessary to fight for free speech when something is not controversial. It's only necessary to fight for free speech when something is controversial. And our view on that has always been quite consistent, that free speech is very important, and there is such a thing as hate speech that has to be combated. But hate speech is not when something is offensive. Hate speech is when something targets a group of people based on their identity, such as their ethnicity or religion, and it is then combined with some form of a call to action to inflict violence on that community, or to inflict harm on them, or to cause harm for that community. Then it's hate speech. So that's the whole point. That's why chanting "kill the boer, kill the farmer" is hate speech, but displaying a flag is not hate speech. So it's a principled case. We're waiting for judgment. It is a difficult case to pursue, but it's important nonetheless.
Yeah, I gotta admit, Ernst, I'm a bit on the fence with the flag scenario because, I don't know if this is true, but I've been told by friends that the Nazi flag is banned. Is that true? I think you would know that.
In Germany, yes.
In Germany, it's banned. So I imagine that the reason why the Nazi flag is banned is because it's offensive to some Germans. I'm guessing. I'm not sure exactly why they banned it. I'm guessing it's for other reasons, like to suppress the Nazis, and I don't know what. So could the same argument not be made for the AfriForum? Oh, sorry. Whoa, I caught myself there. Wow, almost misspoke heavily. For the apartheid flag, could the same argument not be made with the apartheid flag?
Well, I think that's what they are trying to do, but the same set of facts are not applicable. So I don't know. I didn't read the court case according to which the swastika was banned in Germany, but there are a few things different there. The first is that is a flag of a particular political movement. It's not the flag of the government or the former government. Another is that what happened in Nazi Germany was 6 million people were killed in concentration camps. They had extermination camps and a deliberate policy of exterminating an entire nation and more. And yes, what happened under apartheid was people's human rights were violated, and people's dignity was violated, and a lot of atrocious things happened. But it's not in any way comparable to what happened in Nazi Germany. So one argument, it's strange that we have to. The zeitgeist in this country is of such. So, for example, what I just said to you, people will say, "Oh, okay. So your position is apartheid was not that bad."
No, that's not what you're saying. That's not what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing with the discussion about apartheid is you can say anything you want, regardless of whether it's factual or not, as long as it's in a particular direction. And when you come out and say, "Whoa, listen, it was bad," but it wasn't exactly what you were saying it is. It wasn't a policy of extermination camps. It was a policy of it categorized people according to skin color, and it said, well, here's where the whites are going to live, and here's where the blacks are going to live, and it's still something that shouldn't have happened. But it's not comparable to Nazism. So we cannot say because the Nazi flag is banned, therefore the the former South African government flag should be banned. I don't think it's the same. But that was part of what was argued in court.
And also, I think another point which a lot of people are pointing out in the comments is it's not the apartheid flag. It's actually South Africa country's flag, which is also correct.
The flag was accepted in 1928, and the apartheid system only started in 1948. And apartheid actually ended in 1990 when the ANC was unbanned and so forth. So it was the South African flag before apartheid and after apartheid. So there's truth in that. To say it's not, it could be misleading to just call it the apartheid flag.
Isn't that a fact that might strengthen your case, though? I mean, technically saying,
Yeah,
it's the South African flag, really, not
yeah.
the apartheid flag, as some people are calling it.
Yes, and apartheid was a policy of the former South African government. The same way you could say EWC is a policy position of the current South African government, but the South African flag today is not the EWC flag.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a long argument to be made about that, but it was argued in court, and we'll see what the Supreme Court of Appeal has to say about it. So we're awaiting their judgment.
Yeah. Look, I'm as you mentioned, I think it's very important to mention this. Is to make your position and AfriForum's position very clear on this. Is that you don't necessarily support the display of the old South African flag at your events or in your offices or anything like that. So you guys, just AfriForum themselves, actually don't like the flag. It's fair to say.
Yeah, well, we're telling people not to display the flag. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not at AfriForum events. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe just to add, but part of the problem with this case is, in the initial judgment, it was said that even if you display the flag in the privacy of your bedroom, it's still hate speech.
But nobody's going to know.
So if I have, I mean, it's not a combined with a call to action or anything like we discussed. If I have a little, photo frame on my my nightstand and there's a picture of the old South African flag, then I should be liable for hate speech. I mean, obviously it's bizarre. It's bizarre for the state or the government to try to regulate what people display in their bedrooms. Not even what they do in their bedrooms. It's just what they display, what you can see when you walk into someone's bedroom, and that's hate speech. So if the initial ruling was more mellow or more realistic, we might have a different take on it. But that's part of the problem that we have currently.
Yeah, and again, I just want to make it clear, because I get a lot of people surprised for some reason when I say that I support AfriForum and what they do, and then one of the biggest things they point out to me is like, oh, but AfriForum supports the apartheid flag or the old South African flag. How can you support? And I'm like, they actually don't. Like, they don't like the flag. They're standing on a different principle, and then I've got to explain the principle. So I'm actually just gonna clip some of the things you've said, and I'm just gonna send it to them. But I just wanted to be clear for other people as well. Like, people need to understand that you guys are not some evil organization trying to bring back apartheid. You're far from it. Far from it. There's so many other great things that AfriForum has done, and if you just do a bit of research, people will find it. And screw that. Even just go on AfriForum's website, if you are brave enough. Not that there's anything wrong.
Yeah.
And you can see you guys do posts and blogs all the time of what you guys are doing. You've helped people of all races and all ethnic groups and all that stuff. So I really encourage people to just research and don't listen to mainstream media. I mean, I know AfriForum isn't exactly tied to this or other organization, which is Cape Forum. There's influence, I think, or partnership, but there's no, like, you're separate.
It's not a branch of AfriForum, but we do have, it's a friend of AfriForum.
Yes. Yeah. And immediately when Cape Forum came out, like, flipping 4 articles from one media outlet, News 24, about how white supremacy is taking over the Western Cape and racism is coming back and colonialism is coming back. And the hate for you guys is very strong. And I always say, if you're hated that much, you must be doing something right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty strange. I mean, but in a way it's sad, because I think I really believe that it's good for society to have a strong media, to have media institutions with investigative journalists who go to press conferences to ask tough questions and who investigate stories and have these, expose corruption and stuff like that. And it's the same should go for AfriForum. The journalists should ask us difficult questions. But I mean, obviously, it's way past that with the media in South Africa, or the media generally, with journalists who are activists in the first place, masquerading as journalists, pretending to be neutral when they obviously have a particular ideological goal or a beef to pick with organizations with whose policies they disagree, and so forth. So it's sad what's happening, but it's also quite significant how the media world is shifting now, how newspapers don't have the influence they had earlier. If you read, especially history books about South Africa in the previous century, in the 20th century, it's striking how much influence newspaper editors had. Like if you were the editor of The Star or Die Burger or Beeld or something, you were one of the most powerful people in the country. And it's just not the case anymore. I think News 24, and I mean there are good journalists at News 24. I should say that. I'm not so sure if the editor is very good, or very objective. But I think someone like Adrian Basson is still. It's a strong news outlet. So I think I'm not sure if he feels safe in terms of his career and his media institution. I think I can see the institutions around them. Many of them are really struggling, and News 24 as well. I mean, the numbers are going down in terms of readers and so forth. People are just getting their news directly from the source, not so much from a traditional I've heard people use the word legacy media, like not from a traditional news outlet, and I think part of the problem is just technology, but another part of the problem is people are losing faith in the media because of, I would say, a handful, a small group of journalists who have really gone off the rails in trying to push ideological points and trying to present themselves as being neutral, which just leads to people losing faith in the media.
Well, in my opinion, South African media is captured, and that's just my opinion. But one thing I will say, and I want to just comment on this, and then we'll go straight into some questions because I know you got to go at 9 sharp. So I interviewed Barry Bateman, and it was exciting to hear him jumping on board to AfriForum and stuff like that. Do you correspond with Barry very often? Have you spoken with him recently? How's he doing? How's he finding himself in that new AfriForum position?
Yeah, Barry is great. I'm glad to see that he's excited about joining AfriForum, and we're obviously excited about him joining AfriForum. I've always regarded him as one of the best journalists in the country. He was always, when I would say, like I did just now, when I would say there are really good journalists, we should remember that Barry Bateman was one of the people I would think of when I said, well, remember that there are really good journalists and we should be grateful for what they're doing. And so Barry Bateman is particularly with the private prosecutions unit, working with Advocate Gerry Nel to communicate about what the team is doing, what's happening with the court cases, because there's a whole bunch of dozens of cases that they're involved with, and it's quite a challenge to keep people updated about all the cases and where it's going, and to also manage expectations, because you become involved with a court case and people would like the matter to be heard the next week, and then the week thereafter they want a judgment, and then the week thereafter they want to see someone in prison, and oftentimes it takes up to 5 years or something. So Barry's role is to communicate that, and yes, I actually haven't seen him in a while because that's partly because I was in Europe now. But we do communicate, and Barry, I don't know if people have seen that on social media, he's a very enthusiastic braaier. He's very good at braaiing. So we, every time I braai at my place, I would send Barry a picture and say, well, this is what I've been braaiing tonight. And Barry would send me whatever he's doing. So yeah, he's great. I really like Barry. And I actually had an interview, a conversation with him also about him joining AfriForum, which is, I think it's on my YouTube channel, AfriForum. It was published like 2 weeks ago or something.
Yeah, it's on yours.
Where he talks about why he joined and what he's doing and so forth. So yeah, people can go and watch that.
Yeah, please do. It's a very interesting conversation between the two of you. You guys seem like old friends. You actually mentioned in that interview how long you guys have actually known each other. So it's a very
Yeah, yeah,
interesting
yeah.
conversation. All right.
Yes.
So before I let you go, Ernst, let's look at some of the questions that have been coming through. One that seems very important. I'm not familiar with it, but perhaps you are. Apparently, there's a GBV case, Nicoline's case. What is the process that is going to be followed there? That's the question. I'm not sure if you.
I just need to make sure which case is that. Is that the Jaco Swart case?
Helen, yeah, let us
If
know.
it if it is, I'll answer. So part of the problem there, and that's why the videos were released now, is that the court refused to admit the videos where you can actually see him beating up his wife as evidence. So he was found guilty with 20,000, and he was fined 20,000 rand, and I think 5 years suspended prison sentence. So he doesn't go to prison unless he commits crime again. And our concern is it was shockingly inappropriate.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the videos, my first view of that was it's not even assault to commit grievous bodily harm. That to me looked like attempted murder. The way he was beating up his wife, it's really, really disgusting.
Yeah.
I was at a loss for words when I saw those clips. So that's part of the reason why the videos was released. So if the court doesn't want to look at the videos, I think the public should see what's going on and who this guy is.
Yeah.
So the videos were released. It's all over social media. And then it transpired that he's been involved with quite a few other assault cases and cases of violence. Apparently he's hiding now, according to his lawyer. He's in hiding at the moment.
Not surprised.
But he will be charged, I'm quite sure. I'm sure he's going to go to court for some of the other cases that he has been involved with, which would be to his detriment. And I think he's now well known. So, and his picture is well known. So I'm sure if something like this happens again, whoever the victim is would hopefully find it a little bit easier to speak out.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it must be very difficult if you're a woman and you're married and your wife and your husband at least is this big strong guy and he keeps beating you up. It must be very difficult. I can't imagine how hard it must be, but I'm sure that there will be justice in this case. Even if it wasn't for the case that was heard by the courts up to now, but in some of the future cases, I'm sure this guy will face the consequences.
I'm sure of it too, no doubt. And then Matthew had a question for you earlier. Did you meet Ron DeSantis at the CPAC?
No, obviously I would love to meet Ron DeSantis, but he wasn't at this conference. He actually spoke at CPAC, but not at this one in Hungary. I think he spoke at the previous one that was earlier this year was it Washington or Florida? I can't recall. It might have been Florida. But no, I haven't met him. I'd love to meet him, but I haven't met him.
Okay. And then Red Sky Alice is saying, had a two-part question for you. What recourse will AfriForum take if the outcome is negative? This is in regard to the AfriForum versus EFF, Julius Malema. And what about taking this to ICC?
Yeah, so we spoke about that today. It depends. It's difficult to say in advance what we'll do because that would depend on the judgment. It would depend on the line of reasoning given by the court and what exactly the court says. So it's not a simple. The court doesn't have to give a simple yes or no. He has to, the judge has to argue the matter, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that he needs to decide. So we'll decide, but we'll look at that and then we decide. But the option is always there to appeal. So this was the South Gauteng High Court, which means you can appeal to the Supreme Court of Appeals in Bloemfontein. Because it's a constitutional matter, there is the option of, from the Supreme Court of Appeals, you can then appeal to the Constitutional Court. But because this is a constitutional matter, there's also the option of taking your appeal directly to the Constitutional Court. So there's legal options that we will consider. The ICC is a bit difficult for a case like this because this is not a criminal case. It's the Equality Court, so it's much more akin to a civil case. But the thing with the Equality Act and the Equality Court is it's almost not really a civil case, but it's not really a criminal case. It's sort of something unique, but it's much closer to a civil case than a criminal case. So in other words, if you get found guilty it's not that you have a criminal record. You haven't committed, hate speech is not a crime, although incitement to violence is a crime. And what we're arguing is that the matter, part of what we're asking the court to do is to refer the matter to the prosecuting authority for prosecution as well.
Okay.
And maybe I should just add this. I don't think I said this earlier. What we also argue today is that the matter should be referred for prosecution also for perjury, because Malema testified in court, and he was deliberately asked this question from different angles, and he was consistent in his answer that he does not have any money and the EFF does not have any money. So he was arguing this because he wants the court not to rule that they should make a payment, and so he said he doesn't have any money and the EFF doesn't have any money. And just at first glance, that seems like perjury, like lying under oath, because we know the EFF gets big donations from whoever, from a bunch of donors, and from Malema's lifestyle, we can reasonably conclude that he seems to have a lot of money. And now he comes under oath and he testifies in court that he doesn't have any money. So we asked the court to refer. The court can't. We're not asking the court to find him guilty of perjury, but we did ask the court to refer the matter for prosecution because he might have committed perjury. So that's also an avenue that we're looking at.
Awesome. And then very quickly, do you have any idea when the judgment will happen? The judgment.
I hope soon, but the judge sort of made a joke towards the end of the day, saying that he doesn't want anyone to ask him by next week, Wednesday, when are we going to get the judgment. And he said that we have to remember that he has some other cases that he has already dealt with that he still needs to give judgment in. So this sort of goes into the end of the line. But the judge seemed to me to be quite was focused on the case and quite prepared. So he got there this morning saying, listen, I have read all of the documents, everything you've submitted since we've been here the last time, so you don't need to go through all the detail. I have read it and I have read them attentively. So I'm thinking it will be quicker than usual, but it can be months. I mean, we've had court cases where we actually had to wait for a year for judgment, which is very sad. It shouldn't be like that, but I think it's reasonable to say, if I had to guess, I would say somewhere towards the end of the year we'll get a judgment. Might be next year. I hope not. Hopefully quicker. Hopefully a month or two from now.
Yeah, unfortunately, the justice system here in South Africa is slow. But anyway, Ernst, it is almost 9 o'clock, so let's wrap it up here. I want to thank you so much once again for joining me on the show. Definitely have you back when probably when we know more about what's going on, with the flag. Also, I wanted to ask you about the gun, but we'll leave that for another time. The gun case that you guys are doing, and many other cases you guys have going on. There's always a reason to have you on and chat. So Ernst, before we go, do you want to tell people where they can find you? By the way, your Twitter page is linked in the description below if people want to give you a follow, but tell people where else they can find you.
Well, it's most important for people to find AfriForum, which is on social media and on all the, I think AfriForum is even on TikTok, although I'm too old for TikTok. I heard AfriForum is on TikTok, and I've seen some of the videos. But I'm on social media, Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and I tweet more than I post on Facebook, but that's just the nature of Twitter. But yeah, I think people can find me in all the usual places. I have a YouTube channel other than the AfriForum channel. So people can look me up there as well, and then on your show and shows like these, people can also find me.
Awesome, Ernst. Once again, thank you so much for giving me an hour of your time. It was a pleasure chatting to you, and I can't wait to chat to you again. Good luck in all that you do, and good luck to AfriForum as well.
Thank you very much, and thank you to everyone who was watching, and for all the comments and questions and everything.
Awesome. Have a good night, Ernst. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cheers. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Ernst Roets from AfriForum. Thank you so much for tuning in. Before you go, please, if you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe. I've got more content coming your way. Callie Crail will be joining me next week, ladies and gentlemen. The CEO of AfriForum will be on the show, and we'll have more to chat about with regards to the cases that we mentioned today and amongst other things. So that gun question I will ask, I'll get to it in with Callie Crail. I'm sure he will know a lot about it as well. Yes, and also, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to also help me with my fight against cancel culture. Link in the description. It's the first link in the description. All the information is there if you want to know what happened to me. It's all there, but donate at least 60 Rand. I need 500 people to donate $60, and I'll hit my goal before July. Hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, we can make it happen. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, or actually before August. Before August. July's like almost around the corner. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I will be uploading this interview with Ernest's part on its own. So the Ernest interview, the podcast on its own, the 1 hour on its own, probably tomorrow after. Keep an eye on it. So if you want to share this interview, then you don't have to share this link because it's 2 hours. There is the sole 1 hour interview that's going to be uploaded within the coming days. So keep an eye out for that. If you missed it as well, then you can also check it out and just watch the hour interview on its own. But yeah, I think this was a fantastic conversation with Ernst Roets. Always a pleasure having Ernst on the show. Very interesting man. I saw some comments when we talked about the flag. I know, the debate of hate speech. Maybe Ernst is someone I should have. I should have another debate of hate speech and see if I can get Ernst on the show to chat about it, because he's a, for lack of a better term, constitutional lawyer, and I think would be able to give some hard arguments for hate speech and what it actually is, and be able to define it a lot better. Maybe between him and Mark Oppenheimer, I think that would also be an interesting conversation. Very intellectual as well. And Mark, maybe you can also be part of it. I guess your comments were fire tonight, but either way, all comments are welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is greatly appreciated that you guys chatted in the live chats. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all the likes. Thanks for those who subscribed. Thank you for watching. That's really all I've got to say. I'll be back tomorrow evening with Germ Warfare, ladies and gentlemen, will be on the show. And then it's a break until next week, Monday, ladies and gentlemen. With that being said, everybody, have a good evening. If you're in Cape Town, stay warm, okay? Because it is raining like crazy. Mork, I hope you're not drowning yet. And I hope you guys are staying safe. If you're in Cape Town and in the rest of South Africa, just be safe out there. Anyway, with that being said, stay safe, be kind to one another, and I'll see you at the next one. Cheers.